Did you know that after reaching an income of $75,000, additional income does not contribute to happiness levels? Welcome to the world of the wealth-happiness paradox. From an outsider's perspective, it seems logical to equate financial wealth with happiness. After all, money provides access to comfort, luxury, and a sense of security. However, numerous studies suggest that this relationship between income and happiness is not as straightforward as it appears. Several pieces of research from the fields of psychology and economics have found that happiness does increase with income, but only up to a certain point. This point, often cited as an annual income of around $75,000, appears to be the plateau. Beyond this mark, additional income doesn't seem to contribute to an increased level of happiness. Why is this the case, you might ask? Enter the concept of hedonic adaptation. This fascinating psychological phenomenon suggests that we humans are incredibly adaptable. We quickly return to our baseline level of happiness, regardless of significant positive or negative changes in our lives. Imagine winning the lottery. Initially, you'd be ecstatic, envisioning all the ways your life is about to change, but after a while, that new wealth becomes the norm. The novelty wears off, and you return to your original level of happiness. The same principle applies when we get a raise or buy a new car. The initial thrill eventually subsides and we are back where we started, emotionally speaking. So we find ourselves standing at the threshold of a paradox. We live in a society that often equates wealth with success, and by extension, happiness. Yet the evidence suggests that after a certain point, additional wealth does not equate to additional happiness. So if wealth doesn't necessarily equate to happiness, what does? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into this mystery. Psychologists suggest that happiness is more about our internal state rather than external circumstances. Delving into the realms of psychology, numerous theories propose a different perspective on happiness. They argue that happiness is an inside job, more intricately tied to our mental health, our capacity for gratitude, and the quality of our relationships, rather than the size of our bank accounts. Consider the concept of hedonic adaptation, which suggests that humans quickly return to a relatively stable level of happiness despite major positive or negative events or life changes. So, while a sudden influx of money might provide a temporary boost in happiness, over time people tend to revert back to their initial emotional state. On the other hand, elements such as mental health play a significant role in our overall sense of well-being. No amount of money can replace the importance of taking care of one's mental health. Depression, anxiety, and other mental health disorders can affect anyone, regardless of their financial status. Then there's the power of gratitude. Psychologists have found that individuals who regularly express gratitude tend to report greater levels of happiness. It's about appreciating what you have, rather than fixating on what you don't. Wealth, in this context, becomes somewhat irrelevant. Similarly, the quality of our relationships has a profound impact on our happiness. Humans are social creatures, and our relationships with family, friends, and community provide a sense of belonging, love, and support. Numerous studies have shown that wealth has a limited impact on these factors. One such study by Princeton University found that emotional well-being rises with income, but there is no further progress beyond an annual income of $75,000. So, while money can certainly provide comfort and security, it seems that true happiness lies in aspects of our lives that are not tied to material wealth. As psychologist Sonia Lyubomirsky said, happiness is not out there for us to find. The reason that it's not out there is that it's inside us. Economists, on the other hand, argue that wealth does have a role to play in happiness, but not in the way you might think. Let's delve into the economic theories related to happiness. One of the key principles here is the concept of diminishing marginal utility of income. In plain English, this suggests that each additional dollar you earn brings you less satisfaction than the one before it. Picture it like this. When you're parched, that first glass of water is priceless. But by the time you're on your third or fourth glass, the value you place on it has significantly decreased. The same principle applies to income. But let's not oversimplify. The theory doesn't mean that money has no bearing on happiness, rather it highlights the diminishing returns of wealth. That's why a pay rise from $20,000 to $30,000 a year can be life-changing, while a bump from $1 million to $1,010,000 may barely register on the happiness scale. We also can't ignore the importance of financial security and the ability to meet basic needs in contributing to happiness. Money matters, especially when it comes to securing necessities like food, shelter, and healthcare. It's hard to be happy when you're constantly worrying about where your next meal will come from or how you'll pay your bills. On top of that, wealth can afford us opportunities and experiences that enrich our lives, traveling, pursuing hobbies, or simply having the peace of mind that comes with a well-padded emergency fund. However, we should remember that once our basic needs and reasonable wants are met, accumulating more wealth may not necessarily lead to more happiness. It's a delicate balance, and the relationship between money and happiness is not as straightforward as it might seem. As economist Richard Easterlin said, "Does money buy happiness? Well, yes and no, we must learn to navigate the nuances." Philosophers have been pondering the relationship between wealth and happiness for centuries. The ancient Greeks, for instance, had a unique perspective on the matter. Epicurus, one of the most influential philosophers of his time, proposed that happiness comes from simple pleasures and the absence of pain. He believed that wealth, in and of itself, is not the key to happiness. Rather, it's about appreciating what we have and reducing our desires. On the other hand, Seneca, a Stoic philosopher, argued that true happiness comes from a peaceful mind. He contended that wealth can often be a distraction, leading to discontent and unrest. Instead, he advocated for a life of virtue and wisdom, suggesting that these are the true sources of happiness. These philosophical musings remind us to question our own perceptions of happiness and wealth. As philosopher Epicurus once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." So, can money buy happiness? Like many things in life, it's not a simple yes or no answer. We've journeyed through the wealth-happiness paradox, hearing perspectives from psychologists, economists, and even philosophers. We've seen how money can provide the comfort and security that in turn can alleviate stress and worry. But we've also learned that it's not the sole determinant of happiness. There's a delicate balance between monetary wealth and emotional wealth. Remember, happiness is multifaceted, and while financial stability can contribute to it, other elements like relationships, experiences, and personal growth play equally crucial roles. So, the next time you ponder whether money can buy happiness, remember our discussion today. Weigh the comfort and security that money brings against the joy derived from non-monetary aspects of life. Thank you for joining us on this journey exploring wealth and happiness. If you found this video insightful, do not forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more thought-provoking content, and share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, remember, happiness comes from within. Let's delve a little deeper and look at some real-life examples of people who have found happiness in both wealth and simplicity. First, we have the case of a self-made millionaire who, despite his vast fortune, found his true happiness in philanthropy. He realized that the joy he experienced in giving and making a difference far outweighed the satisfaction he derived from his material wealth. Next, we turn to a minimalist who made the conscious decision to live with less. She found happiness not in possessions, but in the freedom and peace of mind that simplicity brought. And finally, let's consider a middle-class family who found balance between wealth and happiness. They weren't exceedingly rich, but they had enough to live comfortably. They found joy in their relationships, experiences, and the love they shared. These stories show us that happiness is a personal journey, unique to each individual. It's not about how much we have, but what we do with what we have and the value we place on non-material aspects of life. Moving on, how can we apply these insights to our own lives? What practical steps can we take to balance wealth and happiness? Here are some suggestions. Firstly, practice gratitude daily. Whether you're wealthy or not, cultivating gratitude can significantly improve your happiness. Take a moment each day to reflect on what you're thankful for. It might be your health, your loved ones, or even a good cup of coffee. Secondly, invest in experiences, not things. Research shows that experiences bring us more happiness than material possessions. They provide us with memories that last, contribute to our personal growth, and strengthen our relationships. So, whether it's a trip, a concert, or a cooking class, consider spending your money on experiences rather than things. Thirdly, prioritize relationships and personal growth over material wealth. Relationships with friends, family, and loved ones are often cited as a key source of happiness. Similarly, personal growth, whether through learning, hobbies, or self-reflection, can also significantly contribute to our sense of well-being. Remember, the key to happiness lies in finding balance. It's about understanding that while wealth can provide comfort and security, it's not the sole determinant of happiness. The journey to happiness is deeply personal and unique to each individual. So use these tips as a starting point, but always remember to stay true to what makes you happy. If you found this interesting, please like, share and subscribe for more thoughtful content as you continue your journey towards happier days. Thanks for listening.